They should know by now. Have you ever heard people say that when talking about student behavior? There's this notion that kids who've been at school for any period of time should know your school-wide rules and your procedures. So by that logic, fourth graders should behave better than kindergartners, and high school freshmen should behave better than sixth graders, right? Let's talk about why we need to teach expectations directly to students. Kids come to us with lots of different backgrounds, different ways that they act at home and in their neighborhoods. School is a different context, so we need to explicitly teach the behaviors that we want to see. We need to be clear about the way to treat each other so that everyone in the community feels safe, respected, and that they belong. The logic that kids should know by now would mean that older students would behave better than younger students, when in practice, it's actually the opposite. Have you ever seen kindergarten students walking in line? Hands to their sides, eyes on their teacher. Have you ever seen fourth graders in line? Swinging backpacks, pushing and shoving. What's the difference? The difference is in teaching. Kindergarten teachers talk about behavior every couple minutes. Class, it's time to sit on the carpet. How do we sit? Crisscross applesauce. Class, it's time to go to the assembly. How do we show respect in the assembly? Quiet mouths, watching eyes, sitting on our bottom. But by the time kids are 8 or 9 years old, we stop talking about it and we just expect them to know better. The next time you hear someone say kids should know better by now, I want you to remember the story of Cedars-Sinai Hospital. So several years ago, there was a national campaign to reduce hospital-acquired infections. You go to the hospital because you're sick, but you end up dying from something else. These infections are preventable with proper hand washing and hygiene. And it's not like doctors and nurses don't know better. The issue is simply that they're very busy people and washing your hands is inconvenient when you're rushing around. So Cedars-Sinai, one of America's most prestigious hospitals, decided to tackle the problem. They started by getting a read on hand washing by asking nurses to monitor it. The nurses reported that doctors were only washing their hands 65% of the time. So they started a campaign. They had a big lunch meeting with the Chief of Staff Advisory Committee, all the top doctors at the hospital, and they shared the problem, and then they discussed possible solutions. And then after they finished their lunch, a cart was rolled into the room full of Petri dishes. Each of them was asked to press their hand into the dish. When they sent them off to the lab, the images that they came back with were disgusting gobs of colonies of bacteria. So they made posters and computer screensavers with the images as a reminder. They made it easier to wash their hands by dotting the walls of the hospital with disinfectant dispensers and made a chant, gel in, gel out. They created a competition between departments for hand washing and rewarded winners with gift cards. In fact, some groups that were late to get on board finally did when they saw their groups lag behind the others. The result, within a year, the compliance rate was 95%, and since then, it's maintained at 98%. The moral of the story is that if our most highly educated people in our society need signs, incentives, lessons, supervision, and even friendly competition to take life-saving measures, maybe we can cut our kids a break. Maybe if they're not doing the behavior we want, we'll start by teaching them. Next, we'll talk about how to teach school-wide expectations in different ways that involve everyone in the school.